Breaking news out of Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania grave robber Jonathan Christ Gerlach stole more than 100 skulls and body parts from cemetery. July 9th, 2026. Bones and skulls visible in the backseat of a car near an abandoned cemetery on Philadelphia's outskirts led police to a basement filled with body parts, which authorities say were hoarded by a man now accused of stealing about 100 sets of human remains from at least one cemetery, the Mount Moriah Historic Cemetery, which once housed the remains of Betsy Ross. Regarding the Catholic necrophilia cult.
Is this part of a global necrophilia cult? It does seem to possibly be statewide.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanner Rouse. I'm the District Attorney of Delaware County, and we are here today because of the arrest of 34-year-old Jonathan Gerlach of Ephrata, Pennsylvania. Over the course of the last several weeks, detectives from Yeadon Borough as well as Delaware County CID became aware that from November of 2025 up until 2 days ago, January of 2026, Mount Moriah Cemetery had been burglarized by, at that point, an unknown individual. He is now arrested. Bail has been set at $1 million cash by Judge Williams. He is in on 26 counts of burglary, criminal trespass, and a host of other offenses. Kelly Wilson, who's handling our media affairs, is going to pass out a complaint so that you guys have the complete list of charges at your disposal. Very simply, detectives walked into a horror movie come to life the other night, guys. This is an unbelievable scene that no one involved, from myself to the detectives to the medical examiners that are now trying to piece together what they are looking at, quite literally, none of them have ever seen anything like this before. I cannot imagine what it would put them through to know that someone like this guy had dug up those remains and was doing God knows what with them. It is truly, in the most literal sense of the word, horrific, because we found remains that we believe to be months-old infants among those that he had collected. Some of these are hundreds of years old. We are trying to figure out exactly what we are looking at. We quite simply, at this juncture, are not able to date and identify all of them. Much. Yeah.
Hi, Dina Durante, NBC 10.
Hi, Dina. How are you? Good.
So it's possible here that your detectives, your agencies, didn't just crack a case that was happening in Yeadon, because this does appear to be a statewide situation.
It almost certainly did not only happen in Yeadon. Whether or not it is statewide and exactly what that means, Zena, we don't know at this point, but you're absolutely right. It is almost certain that this is not exclusive to Yeadon.
Are you talking with investigators, say, in Plains Township, Luzerne County?
We are, yes. That outreach is beginning now. Truthfully, we were a little bit handcuffed because we didn't know what we were going to find in that house. Now that we are aware of the extent of what's going on, that's beginning more fully.
John Paul with 6 ABC. Can you tell us a little bit more about when you found these skeletons in the house? Where were they? What condition were they in? What was he doing with them?
So they were in the basement predominantly, although as you can imagine with 100 remains, it was not as though they were in an isolated area. We don't know exactly what he was doing with them. Time will tell. They were in various states. Understand, some of these are 200 years old. Some of them obviously much newer. There's one that had a pacemaker still attached to the body. So clearly that's not 200 years old. We are trying to figure out exactly what went on in that home. It is still unclear, and given the enormity of what we are looking at and the sheer kind of utter lack of reasonable explanation, it's difficult to say right now at this juncture exactly what took place. We're trying to figure it out. There were so many that they were in various states. Some of them were hanging, as it were. Some of them were pieced together. Some were just skulls on a shelf. We don't know exactly what we've got, what condition they are in. We're still figuring out, does this go with that, etc. So there was no signature thing that was taking place with each of these skeletons. It was a collection. He was doing various things with all of them. At this juncture, that appears as much organizational as anything else. It's not clear there was an MO.
Okay, and one last thing. Was anybody else in that house? Was it just him at the house, or were there other people there who knew what was going on in his collection?
Mr. Gerlach had a girlfriend, it turns out, who was at least around the home.
So she could have been aware. Have you talked to her?
We at this point, where Mr. Gerlach is the one that is charged.
There had been reports earlier this year, I believe, of other like mausoleum doors missing, things like that, at various cemeteries in the area. Does it look like this is connected to that, or is that something else entirely?
It's preliminary, Alex. At this point, we don't have any indication they're necessarily connected. Certainly, we're going to run it down. Some of it was underground, some of it was above ground. So there was some breaking in, and I don't know exactly, John, as I stand here, whether or not he had to physically dig or go in, but there was definitely some underground and some above ground.
Do you think more arrests could be coming in this case?
At this point, I don't foresee anything, Madeline. I don't have any reason to believe. Certainly more charges are possible. I don't know there's going to be any more arrests. Is it possible? With something of this scope, certainly. It defies any logic, so I don't want to rule anything out. At the same time, we don't have any reason to believe he was working with anyone as he was doing this at this time.
Real quick, can the Yaden chief? You've been in the business a long time. You ever seen anything along these lines ever?
No. After 30 years now, I can say this is probably the most horrific thing that I've seen.
There are the 26 specific instances, Alex, which we are aware of where a grave was broken into. We have not been able to necessarily link those up, but we do know those are instances of specific break-ins. Beyond that, not at this point.
Was it the cemetery staff who noticed that there was some damage and then contacted the mayor, and then the mayor contacted police?
Yeah, it's an accident.
Yeah, the Friends of Mount Moriah, who have board members from both Philadelphia and Yaden, noticed that some grave sites were desecrated and notified the Philadelphia Police Department, Yaden Police Department through me. I'm actually on the board, and I notified our chief, and that really started the resolution of this to date.
And the 100 remains that were found, are they all from the cemetery in Yaden, or they could be from other cemeteries?
No, we believe, Madeline, they are from other cemeteries as well. We can't say for absolute certain at this point, but it seems almost certain that they are beyond Mount Moriah.
Any other reports about other cemeteries?
Of course, there are other reports out there. We have not been able to corroborate, does this match up with what we're finding? And frankly, again, like I said, I don't know that we ever will. There are other reports. We're looking into it. I've never heard of any situation, I've been, this is 16, almost 17 years, where someone's stealing and collecting the bones like this. This is different.
One of these incidents, well, at least, the cell phone pinging was on Halloween. Do you have any reason to believe there's some sort of connection there? Was he using them as like Halloween decorations?
There was no evidence, John, of, as I said, anything concerning. That there just isn't anything going on in that basement that leads you to believe, okay, I don't rationalize it, I don't get it, but I see what is happening here. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of rhyme or reason.
Is he part of a satanic cult of some sort, or,
Not to anyone's knowledge at this point. And certainly he hasn't given any indication of such.
There's a Facebook page of somebody with the same name, Jonathan Gerlach, and there's a picture of him holding a skull.
Yes, there is.
And part of a group that says Human Bones and Skull Selling Group. Is that part of the investigation?
It is.
And that Facebook page belongs to the suspect?
It's part of the investigation. We are working to confirm all that, Madeline, and what that might have led to, the veracity of any of that. It doesn't strike me as a coincidence, but we need to figure out if anything was actually happening with that, or if this guy was just taking skeletons and talking a big game on Facebook.
It has recently been divulged by the International Criminal Court that America, the world, is being ruled by Catholic necrophilia cult that includes the British royal family, royal families from other nations as well, especially in Europe. Our president, Big Pharma, and many others in Catholicism and her daughter churches, including Mormons.
But what exactly is necrophilia?
I'd like to read to you today 10 things you probably didn't know about necromancy. Other things you didn't know about necromancy, the dark art of raising the dead. You may not know But Christians, they do not speak to the dead. God commands us not to in Deuteronomy. It is, I believe, part of his 10 Commandments. So yes, it should be honored, as the 10 Commandments aren't just part of the old Bible, also part of the new. Jesus brought them with him. So we must honor the 10 Commandments in their original version. So, that being said, one thing most ancient civilizations share is a fascination with the afterlife, the art of necromancy. The communicating beyond the grave through messages to ghosts or the reanimation of deceased flesh has long been regarded as a deviant way to find answers in the realm of the underworld. Although it has been practiced in some way in nearly every ancient civilization, necromancy began primarily in ancient Persia, Greece, Rome, and medieval Europe. Referred to more commonly as sorcery or black magic, necromancy derives from the Greek words nekros, meaning dead body, and manteia, meaning divination. And divination is witchcraft. Divination is forbidden, of course. It is the magical process of bringing the deceased to life with the intent of learning their secrets, a way to read the future, discover the unknown, or just exploit the wisdom of the grave. It's been the subject of many forbidden doctrines and is still used in some religions today. Although first considered by the ancient Greeks as a way to descend into the underworld of Hades, which of course we call hell, and that is where I believe the fallen angels are bound. Necromancy eventually evolved into the act of summoning the departed into the mortal world, often against their will and with grave consequences. The dead are at rest. It says God commands us not to speak to them. And when we do, there are grave consequences. And what does the Catholic Church do? It teaches its disciples how to talk to the dead, how to venerate them, idolize them, and on and on and on. Talking to the deceased is not for the faint of heart, and the lore surrounding what necromancy is can be equally as terrifying. Witches have used it for centuries, sometimes in gruesome ways. And this has been popularized and romanticized in movies with celebrities as Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. Imagine they're witches, right? What is the name of that movie? I forget. Anyway, necromancy is most commonly associated with witches and witchcraft since ancient days. Tales of witches using necromancy for power and insight have appeared in legends and lore from multiple cultures. And that is because it is real. And we know, as Christians, that that knowledge came from the fallen angels, and they gave it to their female human brides that they took. And these women have passed it down through the generations. Part of this association comes from the belief that witches work with spirits, including those of humans, animals, plants, and the earth itself. Erecto was a serious necromancer who set up residence in a graveyard to facilitate her conversations with the deceased. Rituals are extremely elaborate and involve black magic. Necromantic rituals could be both mundane and grotesque, depending on their purpose, but they were almost always elaborate, often involving talismans, incantations, magic circles, candles, symbols, and wands. The necromancer might wear the clothes of the deceased, sit for days without moving, or even mutilate and eat corpses as a way to call out to the other side. They would choose melancholy locations that were well suited to their guidelines, perhaps the home of the deceased subject, a ruin, or a dark graveyard. I found some interesting geometric constructs on the grounds. They look like certainly places of pagan worship to me. So I think that the location absolutely does matter, because there were cemeteries a lot closer to his home. And I don't think that should be overlooked. Even though the press conference really seems to make this about one mentally disturbed individual, I think this all is cult activity. And we need to be aware, because this could be happening in your backyard, you know? We need to shut it down, man. The only way we can do that is if we know what it is. Now, it's ridiculous. Okay, we're going to shut it down. So we got to find out what it is first. All of these morbid practices were just the warm-up for the eventual summoning of the spirit. According to folklore about necromancy, in order to raise a physical body from the other side, the process had to occur within 1 year of the death. Otherwise, the necromancer would only be able to evoke the ghost, not the real person. Some religions still practice necromancy, and these Kabbalists, these mystics who call themselves Jews, a lot of them practice this.
And mattress that was pulled out of the tunnel being carried by members of the synagogue. So there's a lot of crazy conspiracy theories. I don't want to go down any tasteless rabbit holes. But David, if you could explain, why was there a mattress in the tunnels and what is this stain? A lot of folks are wondering, is this stain feces?
No, it's not feces.
What is
it? It's blood, and basically we did rituals. I said that before. There were some rituals that we do in the tunnels, and sometimes the rituals might involve someone who recently died, and we'll bring him down there, and we're trying to do a ritual to bring back the Messiah, which is a Schneerson, if you heard about him on the news. So he died many years ago, but we have rituals that we believe we can bring him back. And so
how do these rituals
work? Was that the main guy who was sort of instructing on the tunnels?
Well, that was a long time. He's the head rabbi, and he's the guy that we look for direction.
Right, and the news was saying that he is potentially not passed on.
Right, that's right. So we don't know that, so we try to do rituals to try to
bring him back.
Correct, exactly.
So how do these, can you explain the rituals and why does it involve a mattress?
I don't want to go into the details of the rituals, but basically we don't put the body on the floor, we put the body on the mattress, and sometimes we might make an incision somewhere on the body and a little bit of blood will come out. But I don't want to go into the details.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, you mentioned when we talked on the phone that you brought a book with you.
Yes. Yes, this is the type of book I bought, and this is the type of book that describes different types of rituals and things of that nature.
So how does that, can you explain the book?
Well, it's too detailed to go through the book, it's a detailed book, but I suggest if you have a chance and you want to get the book, you can read it.
The Book of Living and Dying.
Yes, the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying.
So where did you guys learn? You guys use this for the rituals? Is this an ancient Judaism thing?
No, we use some different books, and this is one of the books.
So how did you learn of this though?
Again, through other members.
Okay. And you don't want to get into the ritual at all? So you're laying someone, who are these bodies that you're putting on the mattress?
These are basically members of the synagogue who recently passed away.
Oh. So they're dead.
Right, they're already dead.
Oh.
And
you missed that part, Tony?
I didn't know if there were people sacrificing their lives or something.
No, they're not sacrificing their lives. They died of natural causes or whatever.
Oh.
And before you bury them in a cemetery, you basically bring them down.
Into the tunnel?
For a ritual. That's it. It's more like it's not something spoken about, okay? But you can understand, just like other religions or something, when someone dies, they might keep the body in a house.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, same idea. So it would be no different than some other religion keeping a dead body in the house for a couple of days. They all have different rituals.
Well, yeah. So the incision you mentioned, can you describe what's the purpose of that?
Well, like I just said before, it's just a ritual, and the incision is just part of the ritual, and hoping to bring back the Messiah. You see, here's I brought some notes, and if you want to really go through it, so that's the book we use. That's the book to bring people from the afterlife. Okay, so if you believe in that, I don't know if you believe in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, so if you believe in the afterlife, then fine. Then you believe that many years ago in Egypt, there was a method to bring people back from the afterlife, and we're using that type of method.